Wowee, guys. All Blacks versus England. Just let me get my breath back, okay? In this review of the game, guys, I'm going to cover three main areas. Firstly, an overview of the match, the first and second halves, the key areas in the game. Secondly, an overview of both sides, the All Blacks and England, and how I thought where they played well, where they didn't. And then finally, players to watch from me from both sides. Wowee, that first half. England, geez, they started well, didn't they, guys? Like, taking it flat to the line, their attack in the first 10, 15 minutes, really slick handling, brutal ball carries. They put some real pressure on the All Blacks and started really well. Conversely, the All Blacks, it was quite strange. They sort of got down the other end and nothing was really going on. And then that random ball carry by Wallace Atiti with out of nowhere, an offload by Wallace Atiti to Mark Talia, who got a try out of nowhere. So a pretty good response by the All Blacks. And then, look, there was lots of kicking in the match. I thought one interesting play by the All Blacks was Jordie Barrett. They'd move him onto the wing for some crossfield kicks. Guys, let me know your thoughts on that. For me, I didn't really like that. You know, if you're putting Jordie Barrett way out there, it sort of signals that you're going to crossfield kick. It was a bit predictable, I thought, at times, the All Blacks kicking. And from England, their defence in that first half, that rush defence really tested the All Blacks. You know, they came up, they really shut down that space. The All Blacks weren't able to get it right to the wings. And the physicality they brought on defence right up the middle, really good defence by the English. For me, though, the one thing I would say about the England side was their attack. And guys, let me know your thoughts on this. I just thought at times their attack in the first half needed a lot more accuracy. Like, they were moving the ball quite well, but then they'd sort of kick it in behind, or the ball would go to ground, and it just created a lot of counter-attacking opportunities for the All Blacks. And I think there was that break by Wallace Atiti with a very poor pass to Tupu Vai out of sort of a counter-attack. But I think if that had been caught and scored, I thought there was one or two other chances, that counter-attacking opportunities by the All Blacks that they could have converted. And 14 points more to the All Blacks at half-time would have been a different ball game against England. Shortly after that, look, the All Blacks responded with a pretty good try to Will Jordan. Guys, let me know your thoughts on that try. I thought it was quite random, actually. You're starting to see, I think, more with the All Blacks is with Razor, they're playing what's in front of them. So there wasn't a lot on, and then all of a sudden, Beauden Barrett just sees over the blind side a front rower marking up, and so a bit of a mismatch. Beauden runs against the front rower, inside ball to Will Jordan. Clearly a mismatch on speed and etc. And a pretty good try to Will Jordan, sort of out of not a lot. So, and then look, England got down the other end and they dominated the scrum, didn't they, guys? Two good penalties for England against both front rowers for the All Blacks, Tamaiti Williams and then Tyrell Lomax. So poor from the All Blacks there, and Jason Ryan won't be happy with that in the review, will he? So kept England in the game. And ultimately at the end of the first half, 14-12 to the All Blacks. The game was absolutely in the balance, wasn't it, guys? And based off recent history, you know, England 2022, they scored a couple of tries in the last 15 minutes to draw the game. You know, we've seen in a dogfight, generally probably a dogfight doesn't suit the All Blacks. They don't do well when they're in front by 1 point or 2 points and having a penalty kicking sort of duo. So the game was definitely in the balance, and I thought at that point it was whichever side takes it in that second half, takes their chances, is going to win it. So the second half, wowee. Big thing for me, though, there in the second half was the English defence. It was almost like it went up a notch in that second half. And they just, again, totally dominated the All Blacks on defence. They just annihilated them with their line speed, their physicality. And the All Blacks started trying to play and doing offloads that hadn't been earned, and they really put some pressure on the All Blacks. There was also that good intercept try to Marcus Smith, well finished off by Funny, the winger. And I would go as far as saying in that second half, the 30 minutes of it were completely dominated by England. Fortunately, they probably didn't accumulate the points they would have liked in that 30-minute period, which still kept the All Blacks in the game. Ultimately, Damian McKenzie came off the bench and he got that good conversion, taking it to 22 points to 17 to England with 12 minutes to go. And jeepers, it was getting really close and tense then, wasn't it, guys? Particularly the All Blacks, and a few times they apply pressure, but that England defence was just brutal. It was relentless and it was so good, wasn't it? But ultimately, the All Blacks did apply some pressure and there was a well-executed play, and then ultimately Mark Talia scored that try out of nowhere. Ran over the top of George Ford and scored a try in the corner that, honestly, guys, I don't think he should have scored that try. So, real piece of brilliance by Mark Talia, and then ultimately, equally brilliant, Damian McKenzie right in the corner, slots it 24-22 to the All Blacks. Still a lot of time in the game for test match level anyway. And then, obviously, the England side get in the All Blacks half, and the winning kick to George Ford hits the post. Oof, wowee. And then it's knocked on by Patrick Tuipulotu, and then ultimately England got some phases together, went back to George Ford for the drop goal, who missed the drop goal. So, yeah, what a game, guys. Absolutely brutal test match. 24-22 win to the All Blacks. Look, looking at both sides, firstly, what I'd say about England, that first half and in general, they dominated with their defence. Their defence was brilliant. It was physical. It really shut down that space for the All Blacks and really made them throw offloads and passes that they shouldn't be throwing, and really made the All Blacks look pretty ordinary. So they were brilliant there. As I said before, I thought at times, that particularly that first half and a few in that second half, they were a little bit loose on attack. They gave the All Blacks too many counter-attack opportunities, which ultimately they weren't executed that well by the All Blacks, but on another day, 2 tries, 14 points to the All Blacks, and that would be a tough game for England. I think the big thing for England, though, was probably that 30 minutes after half-time. Look, they absolutely dominated the All Blacks in their face, and yeah, I think they'd be disappointed that they probably just didn't accumulate the points that they needed to win the match that's there. So, to the All Blacks, look, what I would say positive, generally their defence was good. They only conceded a try from an intercept try to Marcus Smith. Their attack execution, we just keep going on and on about their attack execution again. But again, guys, it was well below par. That English defence, that they knew it was coming, and their attack was well below par. Offloads, passes, and just errors that they shouldn't have been making. So they'll have to be much better in coming weeks. What I would say about them, though, they're certainly a side that's playing what's in front of them, and ultimately they won the game by taking the chances when they were available and when needed. Like, the game was in the balance, and Mark Talia scores a brilliant try in the corner and converted by Damian McKenzie to win the game. So they took their chances when needed, the All Blacks. I would say in general, though, looking at the game, England were the better side. England deserved to win. The All Blacks, it wasn't their best performance at all, really. But unfortunately, that's sport, and tough pill to swallow for England. Players to watch for me, look, for England, yeah, you look at George Ford, and I know as a player I had a number of bad games, and games you just want to forget, but I think that would be one game that he would just want to forget. First he comes off the bench, a missed tackle on Mark Talia to score the winning try, and then ultimately, a conversion. He's a pretty good kicker, but just couldn't quite get it at the end. Hits the post, and then that drop goal attempt. Yeah, not his night, and yeah, but that happens. Marcus Smith, he was amazing for England. I question, guys, and let me know your thoughts on this. I just wondered if they should have subbed him at all. Why couldn't they have left him on it somewhere in the backs? He kicked so well. His defence was so good. And just his leadership, his game management, he's genuinely a world-class player. And yeah, so I question that. But guys, let me know your thoughts on that. For the All Blacks, look, Bowden Barrett, he was good. I think he's definitely still developing at 10. He's improving his game management. He generally kicked well. He made a few unforced errors, which he'll be disappointed with, but I thought there was a few areas anyway where the All Blacks game management was improved from earlier in the season, so that's positive. Damien McKenzie, wowee, look, he's been under a lot of scrutiny in New Zealand. We're all aware of that. But for him to play the way he did against England, the impact he had off the bench, he was electric coming off the bench, running lines. He really tested that England defence. And then last try scored of the game, to slot it right from the corner under test match level pressure, that was amazing. So hats off to Damien, he was outstanding. The other one I thought was brilliant was Wallace Satiti. Like he's only 22 years old, guys. Let me know your thoughts on him. But he's just immense. Like his ball carries again. He broke the line a few times. His defense was good. His work at the breakdown, cleaning out. He's a real talent for the future, isn't he, guys, for the All Blacks? And he was immense against England. Guys, look, in summary, I think the All Blacks got away with this one, definitely. England were the better side in this game, but unfortunately the All Blacks took their chances when they were available, and 24-22 win to the All Blacks. Tough pill to swallow for England, but one hell of a game of rugby, guys, that's for sure. Just still getting my breath back a little bit, guys. So, guys, if you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and add any further comments you thought about the England All Blacks game. Absolute cracker. Cheers.